Hey again, YouTube. Nutjob with machete back with Nutjob with stuff. Because this one isn't a machete, it's not a knife, and I rarely review these because 9 times out of 10, it's either they're normal and you've got pliers and all the rest of the crap on them, and you're just kind of picking at what's on there, or they're unique, like this one. What the hell am I talking about? Well, this is the real Avid multi-tool. It's probably not its specific name. I'll put its specific name, specs, everything down below. This thing, now it's the multi-cutter. I cheated. It's got it stamped right on the rubber. You know what, let's talk about the sheath. It's actually kind of a nice little sheath. Semi-rigid design, nice big flap, good button for retention. Tool obviously fits in there. Snap it up. Secure. It comes with a fairly generous belt loop. Let's go from this side so I can show you guys. Fairly generous belt loop. It's a little tight when you first get it, but it loosens up a little bit. But it also has molly straps so that you can attach this to the outside of a pack. Why is that important? Well, because this isn't your regular multi-tool with pliers and all of that stuff. This is a multi-cutter. Going on Real Avid's website, they are really hunter focused, hunter and shooter focused. They have a lot of knives and tools and everything like that that are focused around hunting activities or shooting activities. This is definitely no exception. Why don't I show you its most unique feature? I was going to say strangest, but no, its most unique feature. It is pruner. Why? Why the hell would you need a pruner? Well, honestly, this thing has enough stuff with it that if you wanted to, you can take this with you hunting. If you, for instance, were going up in a tree stand, and I'll get more into that in a minute, this would really help you out. For instance, if you have found the perfect spot, the perfect cover, I'm trying to fight with the stick here, but you know, you need to clear your line of fire, or if you're up in a tree and you need to take off a branch or two so that you can, say, draw your bow or aim your rifle, this will help, because of course, with this little pruner on there, now that was about, I'd say, 1/4 of an inch. Let's go to, this is about 1/3 of an inch, and now it does have a maximum size of about 1/2 an inch, which is what this one was. It did have a little issue, and I'll tell you that in a second, but we're not going to go right to the 1/2 of an inch. We're going to go just shy of it, and it's fine. You know what, maybe let's try. This is 1/2 inch. Yeah. The little issue that I had was that same branch. Frozen. So put it in the 1/2 inch notch, which, by the way, I haven't shown you the blade. There's needs to be cleaned up after that, but you know, nice thick steel cutter and a little notch for your 1/2 inch. Now this will actually go through small game ribs easy, and if you need to, like for instance, say you're doing squirrel or groundhog or something like that, and you want the easy way to take off the limbs, done. Don't even have to use your axe or chopper or anything like that. So that's one thing. When the branches are really frozen, and if they're just slightly bigger than this opening, don't try using this. There's another tool on here that you should use. The reason I say don't try using this is because the pins weren't actually super tight from the factory. When I'm talking about pins, I'm talking about these guys here. So when I closed it up, it actually didn't stay closed like this. This actually protruded back. Now that was because this was a little bit loose and it had kind of just shifted a little bit. So one thing to be aware of is when you get this, take your Torx and just tighten those down a little bit. You could take them out and put Loctite and everything in there, but that might actually make it a little more difficult to operate this thing, so just be aware of that. Anyways, for the safety, oh, by the way, there's spring. I didn't actually mention that. For safety, they've got this little safety clip there, and that keeps the blades closed. A couple of little issues that I'll show you in a second, but using it like the pruner, actually pretty good. The rubber comfort kind of grip does make it pretty comfortable, and where they put it makes sense. I got the rubber bit here and the rubber bit here, and that's where the most pressure is going to be when you're pruning. It just sounds weird when I say pruning. I'm talking about something you're taking out hunting, but pruning. Anyways, close her up. You got your standard multi-tool, a little bit heavier than you might anticipate, but it does have a pruner on there. So, all right, you've got my rifle friends. You know what that is? It's a rifle pin, so you can work on your rifle. My rifles are all bolt action. This is for semi-automatic, so I don't actually use this at all. So, sorry, I can't really talk about it too much. Same thing with this. Now this, even though it's not like a wrench, it's a choke wrench. And it actually has different sizes on there. So you've got 410, 28, 20, 16, all the way down to, is that 10 gauge? Yeah, all the way down to 10 gauge. And it's to adjust your choke. My shotgun is old. It does not have a choke. It will only fire lead. It won't even fire steel. So I haven't used this yet either. But that is one thing on it. Those are the items that make me think that this is for shooting and for hunting beyond the rest of the little tools. What rest of the little tools? Okay. Folding saw, which actually works decently well. Like I said, if you're going to do any really thick branches or anything like that, use the folding saw. It's double tooth. It's not the best. It actually does get gummed up pretty quickly because of the double tooth, but it, will actually do the work. Let's bring it, a couple of seconds and it gets through a 1/4 inch of that. But you'll have to clean it afterwards, because if sap or anything hardens in there, you're screwed. It also doesn't lock in place. Be aware, none of these external tools lock in place, so they could close on your fingers. So that's something to be aware of. But that's kind of standard in most multi-tools. I'm going to show you the last piece on here last. This side, you have a fairly big, decent stainless steel knife. I think this and the other blade that I'm going to show you are made out of 420. Again, specs and everything are going to be below. But it actually works. Nice big stump of tree. Yeah, not cutting this with the saw, I can tell you that. But it actually works. It's really sharp. Will get you, whatever you need. Obviously peels the bark off just fine. And how sharp is it? Now, standard paper test. I did not test this one on meat, though arguably you could use this to process whatever you've brought down hunting. See, pretty sharp. Takes an edge fairly well. I did a little quick polish when I got it, but it's actually pretty sharp. This is one of the little issues. There's another knife right here. Two things about it. One, it rests, unless you push it to the side, right on the pruner cutting edge, and that will dull it or that will bend the tip. So you have to be really careful when you're pulling it out. The other thing is, it only has this little fingernail notch to get it out. And when the blades are all closed up, it's a little difficult to get it out. And even when you can get it out, it's a little difficult to get it out. But it almost feels like it locks in. It's a really strong, tough, tight fit, basically. But getting it back in, holy crap. Normally I have to actually use the palm of my hand and just be careful, because my fingers are sitting up here. So that's one thing to be aware of. That needs to be fixed to me. And it just seems to be part of, oh my god, in this case I'm really showing you how bad this damn thing can be. It really needs to be kind of addressed. I don't know if a newer version of this exists, but Real Avid, if they do actually see this, I'd like that to be easier to get out. Make a spur or something like that. But it's kind of like a gut hook in its design, and it is still pretty damn sharp. The curve in it, of course, makes it hard to show you on paper, but it's really sharp throughout the whole thing. And of course this processing, you know, through the gut and the skin would actually be pretty good. Now putting it back. Sweet merciful crap. And right there, it's exactly what happened. See how it's sticking out like that? Well, it's sitting right on that metal. So you got to push it off to one side, push it down. It's just one little thing. I honestly think that they could do without that knife, have another tool, something even more useful in there, and you'd be fine. Really, that's really my only hang up. That and the, you know, when I used it on the 1/2-inch piece, that kind of thing. But, alright, wrong tool. This. What is this? It's a bore spike. And I don't mean bores as in, you know, pigs with attitude. I mean, it is designed so that if you, like I said, if you're up in a tree stand or something like that, well, say you're just setting up your tree stand, you got this thing with you in your pouch. Well, you can leave that spike out if you want, and just, you know, go up to the tree, stick it in, and you can bore it for a tree step. What the hell's a tree step? Well, tree stand, you have to get up there somehow. You're either going to have a ladder attached to the tree, or you're going to have these little things called tree steps. And you basically bore a hole in there, and the tree steps are just, they're like those big wall anchor things with a screw and a little step. You just basically crank them in. They're actually really easy to work with. Tree. Yeah, that actually works really well in getting them started. Normally I would just grab a knife, you know, dig in there. But yeah, anyways, back to this thing. Pretty good overall. It has those few issues. That's really my only problem. If that blade were easier to get out, or if it didn't sit the way it is, I'd have no problem with it. As it is, like I said, I think Real Avid could replace that, and it wouldn't really be too bad. I think that blade actually shows up on one or two other of their multi-tools, so maybe that's why they have it on here. I don't know. If Real Avid is watching, can you explain? But yeah, everything else on here, including the cutters, works really, really well. And I mean, I do actually like the pouch. Normally I couldn't care less about a multi-tool pouch, but this thing really does. When it's on your belt, yeah, you feel it. Walked around for a couple of days with it on there. Actually at work, which just looked weird. You feel it because the tool has weight, but getting it out, getting to use it, putting it back in, not that difficult. You can do it eyes closed, basically. But yeah, that's about it. Nothing really else I can add to that one. Kind of a cool little multi-tool, and I think it's, yeah, it's probably my first multi-tool review. So, thanks for watching it. If you like videos like this, feel free to click like, feel free to subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and as always, feel free to share this video as much as you want, especially if, you know, that's an idea that interests you. If you want to see more multi-tools or more things from companies like Real Avid, let me know in the comments section below. And until next time, guys, I'm Nutjob with Machete. Stay sharp.